What happened while we were away, brought to you by It's the Economy, Stupid. Despite a paltry but better than forecasted April jobs report, the U.S. economy is at least on the brink of recession, if not already there. Just today, the nationwide average price of gasoline reached a new record high at $4.37 a gallon. A year ago, the average price for gasoline was $2.96. The S&P 500, NASDAQ, and Dow Jones were all down over the last week, including a couple of those reaching new lows for the year. And Joe Biden says,
"The bottom line is this. My top priority is fighting inflation."
Learning Chinese today. Today's phrase is, so does that mean you're resigning or what?
那么这是否意味着你要辞职或什么？
In completely unrelated news, Biden signed the Ukraine Democracy Defense Lend-Lease Act of 2022 for the purpose of streamlining financial aid to that blank hole country. This comes on the heels of Biden asking Congress for another $40 billion in aid to Ukraine. Moving on, dozens of left-wing terrorists, including Antifa and other groups, showed up at the home of Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito last night. Alito had already been moved to an undisclosed location for his protection over the weekend. This woman also showed up to say she wishes her mother had killed her.
As I said before, my mother didn't have a choice, so I'm here, but I had 57 years of misery. If she had a choice, she would have made different decisions, and I might not have been here, and nobody would have been the wiser.
Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot tweets, "To my friends in the LGBTQ plus community, the Supreme Court is coming for us next. This moment has to be a call to arms." On Sunday, 2 Molotov cocktails were thrown at the headquarters of Oregon Right to Life in a suburb of Salem. MSNBC, your thoughts?
Here's the thing. Here's my feeling about the leaker. I would like to find out who the leaker is so I could make sweet love to that person, because that person is a hero to me. Okay? And if the leaker, a lot of people are saying it could be a conservative. If the leaker is a Republican, and if I get pregnant during our lovemaking, I will joyfully abort our fetus and let them know. I don't know if that answered your question.
Meanwhile, in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis yesterday established November 7th as the Victims of Communism Day. He also signed a law requiring students in Florida schools to learn about communism and its devastating effects. DeSantis is absolutely mopping the floor in terms of fundraising for his gubernatorial reelection bid. He's raised over $143 million so far. Democrat Charlie Crist has raised $9.2 million. Nikki Fried, $7.6 million. And somebody named Annette Taddeo has raised just over $2 million. In other words, DeSantis is bringing a Moab to this fight, while his challengers have mustered a few cap guns. The Late Show on CBS has halted production after host Stephen Colbert showed signs of COVID. Yes, this Colbert. NBA coach Steve Kerr of the Golden State Warriors was one of the only coaches in the league to wear a mask stem to stern this season. Last night, he missed one of the Warriors' playoff games after testing positive for COVID. In completely unrelated news, here's Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Laurie Garrett, who made her bones as a journalist covering epidemics. This was a speech she gave to the National Academy of Medicine in 2018.
There's only a couple of countries that have ever really done large-scale studies to try and figure out what might work. Japan, it may not surprise you, is one of them. And they, in one of their large studies, they basically showed that the masks, it seemed like the major efficacy of a mask is that it causes alarm in the other person. And so you stay away from each other. And that's what I think happened with SARS. When I was in the SARS epidemic, I saw everywhere, all over Asia, people started wearing these masks, and it is alarming when you walk down a street and everybody coming towards you has a mask on. You definitely do social distancing. You definitely, it's just a gut thing. But did the mask really help them? Did the mask keep the virus out? Almost certainly not.
This is Laurie Garrett now, and here's what she has to say for herself. This was in 2018, before COVID-19, and I was speaking in the context of flu and SARS, neither of which is as devastating in airborne transmission as COVID, and I wasn't thinking of N95 masks, but of those loser surgical ones used by the public then. Still, masking is the same as social distancing. Here's Donald Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania over the weekend.
With us are some friends of mine. They wanted to say, I said, don't come tonight. Let's go another time. It's pouring. Woody Johnson, a great gentleman. You ever hear of Johnson & Johnson? He owns the place. I tell you what, this guy's got cash like nobody's got cash. Johnson & Johnson. His incredible wife, Suzanne Johnson, whose family is very, very close, and she comes from Ukraine. So she has a little bit of a hard time with it, but she's an incredible woman.
The retail store Target is partnering with a brand called Tomboy X during the month of June to sell chest binders and so-called packing briefs. And finally, this from the Babylon Bee. FBI sternly warns mob at Justice Kavanaugh's home to stay away from school board member's house next door. And that's what happened while we were away.